And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I am your host, Henry Wind, and you can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. Fellas, it's a great week to be a Manchester United fan. Haven't really come down from the high of the FA Cup. I'm feeling good, feeling happy, and I'm excited to be here with the fellas. We got a smaller crew today, but that's plenty okay. We have a lot to dive into. Let's check in with the fellas. Bucci man, the man of the summer. How you doing, bro?
Doing great. Had youth camp today. Had a bunch of screaming 6-year-olds. It was great. Great day. Happy to be here with you guys and still playing lots of golf.
Golf. I know you're really good at it, so this is not a slight to you, but sometimes it makes me laugh that you are shaping America's future. I'm just like, that's crazy. That's wild.
Why?
I don't know. You're just a silly boy. You're just a silly boy. Hoover, what's up, dog?
What's up, lads? Happy to be here. Didn't get to see all the footy that I would have liked to this weekend, but had a very relaxing trip to the farm. So got to watch St. Louis's replay today, and I have a lot more thoughts than I did after just seeing the box score. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're coming in at a good time because you literally just watched the full game like an hour ago. So
I mean, I turned it off not even 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, you're fresh off of this. Where The rest of us have had a couple days, 48 hours or so to simmer down a bit. But last but certainly not least, Connor Sindobri. What's going on, pal?
What's going on, fellas? It's boy Dobes. It was great for a while, fellas. Like United was, everybody heard me come on here and bitch for just like months in a row. And then we got the high and it was like, all right, perfect. Season's over. Maybe Connor's not going to bitch anymore. And it's like, then I have to watch St. Louis City every week. And so like, we're back here to bitch some more today, fellas. It was like, they were supposed to be the outlet for me just to enjoy some footy. But instead we're back here to complain because that's what fans love to do. Yeah. Good to be here.
It's what we do. I mean, we have a couple things to dive into, starting off with St. Louis City against Miami. Then we have the Champions League final to talk about because that happened also this weekend. And we didn't even cover it last episode. We kind of got done with the episode. We listened back to it on Wednesday morning and we're like, oh, shit, biggest game of the year. We just don't talk about it.
Forgot.
It was
Yeah. We knew about it. But speaking of dads, fellas, did you know that Father's Day is right around the corner? Our friends over at Manscaped has our dads covered. So today's episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the leaders in the below-the-waist grooming. And maybe your pops has had a bush since the 70s, and that's totally okay. And our friends over at Manscaped have crafted the total package for his special day. Whether it's for the boys downstairs, his beard, or even the best pair of underwear out there, Manscaped has all of his bases covered. Head over to manscaped.com to get 20% off and free shipping with the code MECCA20. That is MECCA20 to take daddy to zaddy. Trust Manscaped. Doesn't get any less weird every time.
It does. It really doesn't.
And what brought me on the topic was, Dobes, I was thinking about your dad, and your dad actually got to go to this St. Louis Miami game. He was there. He was present at this game. So let's rip the Band-Aid off, fellas. Let's talk about St. Louis City against Miami, a 3-3 finish against allegedly the best team in the league. It's pretty easy to be the best team in the league when you're constantly playing with 12 men on the field. What are your thoughts? Hey. Nah, that's not a hot take, but what are your thoughts of this game? There's a lot to be said.
I think initial thoughts are, if you look at the score on paper and you ask, I think probably all of us, like a week ago, if we're going to get a 3-3 draw against Inter Miami at Miami, I think we're all probably like, where do we sign? Like, I would have been more than happy with the draw. Personally, I think going into this game, I thought we were going to get dog walked just based off the performances I've seen in recent weeks. But I think after watching the game, I know that Head, you and I watched the whole thing live. Who have you watched the thing today? Butchie and I talked about this yesterday golfing. But like, this one feels like points thrown away. Like it truthfully does. And this doesn't necessarily mean that I thought we're the better team for the entire game. It more so means that like Inter capitalized on silly mistakes that we made. One, it could be the Markanovic offsides. Two, it could be nobody picking up probably the best player of all time. Just let him run free at the top of our box and just nobody pick him, be within 10 yards of him. So, two of those goals, and another one, it's Berkey stood on his head. But we also created some fucking dynamic chances and just did not score. Sam should have had one. Klaus should have had one. We had a ton of different chances that, with teams like Inter, that if you don't capitalize on those 2 or 3 chances, we know they have the quality that can hit you at any given moment. You saw that with Messi. You saw that with the Jordi Alba goal. So honestly, it's one of those where I'm frustrated more so because I thought we had the game, and then there's some adjustments, and I'm sure that we'll cover here in a little bit that Carnell made that kind of not threw the game away, but definitely pointed that game in Inter Miami's favor. So, all in all, 2 days removed, happy with the draw, but at the same time, you can't help but think that we left points on the board here.
100%. I guess starting off the game, we started off in our 4-2-3-1 formation, and story for the game was that Leuven was back into the starting 11, which we got to see a midfield 3 of Indiana Vasilev, Chris Durkin, and Edouard Leuven. And it looked really good, to be honest with you. Like, we were high pressing. We were actually doing pretty well on the ball. We were taking care of it, and we were creating those chances, like you said, Dobes. Our game kind of got blown up a little bit when Alm went down with the knee injury. We kind of had to, hoping that it's not too bad. Shouts up for Rasmus.
Yeah, seriously.
But we had to pivot, and we had to change. But Kojima came on and was a dog.
Oh, no.
He was great.
He was dribbling like he could already hear the dribble comps music in the background. Like, he knew what he was doing, and it was a master class in holding the ball. It was awesome, dude. I mean, the dummy out to AZ, or not AZ, the dummy out to Indy.
Toitland, right?
That was a dummy to Indy.
Was it Indy?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, it was in the very end of the game, the 80th minute, too, the shimmy between Busquets and whoever else was there, and then to find Sam out left, no look, like he was doing what we all thought he might be able to be doing. Like, that is 100% the highlight for me out of the entire game, is how well he played. His 70-yard track back when it's a one-on-one with Messi. There were so many intangibles from his game that have me the most excited about all of this. And he was playing that 10 role. Like, when Indy went out,
his positioning was, I didn't expect that when he came on.
I didn't either. And I don't know if I really knew he had it in him. And I think we still saw a little bit of indecision on in the final third. But not anything that we can, hang our hats on and point at as the issue. Like, he was so much fun to watch. And I wish that the rest of the team could do that. They need to go to class with him.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, like, he really was the bright spot. And,
for sure.
like, you want to almost, like, manage your expectations and not let your, like, hopes get too high. Because, again, he's played so few minutes this season, but every time he's on, man, like, you just see something that, like, other guys don't have. And I think that that's something that makes him so fascinating as a player. We've now gotten to watch him play a 6, an 8, and a 10 this season, and he reads the game incredibly well. But I do think that this 10 role is the best that we've seen him. I think
Absolutely. I think without it.
Facilitating the game, he was fantastic. And I actually I think we play Portland this upcoming weekend. I don't think that you could justify doing anything else in that midfield 3. Like, the only thing that I could see them doing is playing like a double pivot with Blom and Durkin and playing Leuven a little bit higher. But I think you lose a lot of playmaking ability through that. I think you keep Vasilev out on the right and you're able to interchange with them. And so Kojima was definitely my high of the game. Like, I was really impressed with him. We've said it a couple times throughout this season, but he's continuing to be for us what we hoped Miggy was going to be last year. Like, to come on the field and, like, make an impact. Not saying that he has to score 10 and 10, but, like, make an impact, be decisive. And I really liked his game a lot. I thought that was really good. Now, obviously Inter Miami has a lot of class on the ball. They're kind of in a different echelon than we are. But they did get pretty fortunate I think, who was it? Suarez's goal at the back post, allegedly tripping Markanich. It even got reviewed by VAR because they felt like the on-field ref made a clear and obvious mistake, and then the ref says, nah, it wasn't that bad.
Infuriating. I just
infuriating.
I don't get how, if it directly leads to a goal, then like it matters. Like that's the thing for me. Like it's not like the play develops and something and there's passes going on over here. And, you know, it's not like we're like it's a foul on us in the box. You know what I mean? It's Suarez directly, whether he means it or not. He does clip his legs. He falls. Less than 10 seconds later, the ball's in the back of our net. So that clearly has an impact at whether it's intentional or not. It's like there's be times where you go for a head ball and your arms come out, the guys come behind you, he hits, like the head hits your elbow, it's still a foul. You know what I mean? It's the same exact situation to me where it's like there's unintentional fouls that are called all the time. Like, I just don't get why that one's not called. It's got to be because it's Suarez and it's Miami and the MLS doing their, you know, the thing they do with Inter Miami. That like, but truthfully, that's what it felt like the entire game. There was not just that one, but it felt like it was the entire game.
The Messi goal too, and you know the one on Suarez. Markanich doesn't, you know, we don't know if he gets there, right? I'm not going to sit here and be like he gets there, but he was flat on his chest, and the ball went right past his head while he was on the ground. I think another 2 steps.
I think you would have gotten
I don't think that's wild of an expectation.
Difficult, like at least
yeah. He could have put a body in front. He could have tried to clear the ball, anything like that. And then, you know, before this, you know, 20 minutes or so, whenever they scored, when Messi scored, there was a very clear push on Klaus right in front of Carnell, right before the play kind of redevelops, gets back to Messi. Like, it was the exact same play that happened on Salio, the opposite end of the field, where he's running down, the right back, and that gets called easy, no question. Even Taylor Twellman was like, yeah, his arms were extended, you can see it. But then 100% the same thing the other way around. Like Klaus gets in front of the ball, shields it, gets pushed over, like any good striker would do, and then we kept going. Yeah. Carnell was losing his mind. And Taylor Twellman, I got a bone to pick with him. But
brother.
But I mean, seriously, he said it. Like, where's your conviction as a commentator who believes in ball? If you say you know ball, then don't stop. You don't go for these major broadcast moments. I've changed completely as to what I was talking about. Those were both fouls that they scored on. But Taylor Twellman's reluctancy to admit when he's wrong because it would botch his potentially amazing commentary goal that he got to play, or, you know, broadcast a Messi game. The highlight of this man's career is calling Messi's goals. Miss me on that, TT. Decide and agree with everyone that those were fouls. Say something about it in the broadcast. Don't just absolutely gurgle those guys every time you get. Sometimes they trip guys in the box and it's a foul. And you can say that, and that's okay. Nah, he was driving me up a wall, too.
I want to give a quick shout out to Aaron Klein for getting blocked on Twitter by Taylor Twellman back in college because he was criticizing him on Twitter, and Taylor Twellman decided to block him.
Klein's a legend.
Yeah, he reads his Twitter.
My dad and I have always had a running joke that any game that Twellman's done, because when it was the World Cup, that you just watch it on mute. You just mute it.
You just got to do it.
And I got to throw out the respect for being a St. Louis guy and repping our city, and that's cool, and I appreciate it at a national level, but do better. Do
better. Gentlemen, I want your opinion on, because we still have some tactics to talk about with this game, but I want your opinion on Markanich. Now, a resident favorite analyst of St. Louis City Tactics with Michael put out another banger of an article today. If you haven't read it, go check our Twitter. We repost it every single week. But he talked about how Markanich, again, was at fault for one, if not two, of the goals this week. I do think that if, you know, the foul on Suarez, like, I think that's tough. But what are your thoughts on Markanich as a player? Like, I think Michael, in his article, like, showed like a pretty big spotlight on it, but it's weird. I don't feel about Markanich how I felt last year about like Johnny Nelson or about like Nerwinski or whatever. So like, I was reading that today, and I was like, oh man, I guess like I don't feel that way. Like I feel like Marquinhos is like a 7 out of 10 every game, but I guess that's just my perspective.
He looks to me these last couple of weeks. He looks to me like a player that's playing without confidence. Like he looks like a player that is like probably listening to a little bit of the noise because he was like last year when he played, he was extremely consistent. And I think that's just kind of what happens. Like, when your confidence gets a little low, you switch off in those important moments. And even though Marquinhos, like we said, like he wasn't directly involved in the Alaba goal, but at the same time, it was him not switching on to be pushed up at the rest of the back five that turns that off. And that's one of those little things that, like, when your brain is so focused on not making a mistake or being in the wrong position or whatever it is, you forget those little details that are so important to the game. And that just kind of seems like where he's at right now. Whether he needs to a few games on the bench to get his motivation back, to you know what I mean, to in training to get himself moving. But I think the thing is like we haven't seen Carnell trust Dyer. Like we haven't seen anybody else be great at that spot. So it's kind of like we're kind of stuck with them. And if Carnell doesn't trust Dyer, then he kind of has to play.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Hebert. Other than that, Hebert's played more than Dyer has.
Hebert's just the like, and again, we've said this so many times. Hebert will do a job. Like he'll do his job. What you ask him to do, he'll do. When that comes to him playing left back, that will never be Kyle Hebert bombing forward and whipping balls in the box on the left-hand side. Never. No. And that's what Marquinhos has a little bit to where he can combine a little bit more towards as you get farther up the field. So that's where we're arguing here between Hebert, who was a very, very defensive, and Marquinhos, who's like, we don't really know. So it's not exactly the best spot to be in.
I don't think Marquinhos was ever really supposed to be this guy that we're using him as, right?
He was supposed to be like a rotation left back.
He was picked from the Colorado MLS Next Pro team, picked up for free, and he'd played like 13 MLS minutes. There's no scenario where, in my mind, we were finding an absolute gem in a starting left back. So I think for where he's come from and what he's been able to do since then, he's done more than any of us could have possibly asked or dreamed of as what probably should have been a rotation left back. We get rid of Johnny Nelson, we bring in Nicholas Dürr, and turns out Nicholas Dürr has blackmail on Carnell or just can't get up to speed with the league. And then, Johnny Nelson's gone, so
he's way gone, yeah.
That's it. Like that, it's Marquinhos or an extremely defensive, Hebert, which situationally may work, but that just can't be the solution. That's not the plan ever going forward. So I think all of that said, we're gonna be able to point out weak spots on the field, no matter what year we're playing in, no matter who's on the club, even if we're motoring. We're gonna have guys that feel slack and. I feel like a lot of times in the MLS, it's the defensive players because it's just never been that strong of a league.
Butchie, you were pretty quick to say get him out. What are your thoughts?
I just don't think he's strong enough to be a guy that's going to play every minute like Carnell's been doing. I think we just, before we started, right, we talked about, or I said, why did we just sign that kid from Australia? We don't need it. We don't need a position or him in that, like that, whatever. Is he a center back, center defensive mid? Mm-hmm. We don't need that. We need a wing back.
Yeah.
Like we need Marquinhos to be an actual backup left back when he's needed, not a guy that is 90 minutes every 3 days.
Yeah.
Like City, in my opinion, needs to go out and break the bank on a really good left back. And then another good winger to get Thorson out. I can go on about Thorson.
Talk about Thorson, Bush.
Oh my God, bro! Honest to God, I think who've talked about blackmail. He's got blackmail for sure. Got blackmail on somebody, and I think he spends more time on the field. Like when he enters the premises, he spends more time fixing his goddamn headband than actually touching the ball. And that's the truth.
And when he does touch the ball,
he gives it away.
Goes to the other team.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to hate on the guy, but he's just not – he's not anything that I thought he was going to be in terms of what he's given us so far. And Thorson is another one that, like Marquinhos, I think needs to be a complete like, role player off the bench. He should not be playing much, especially in the big.
Yeah, I can't even get him off the bench, bro. Like
I talked. I can't even tell you how much shit did we talk on Jared Stroud last year on this podcast. We talking Jared Stroud. At least we knew what we were getting from Jared Stroud when he come off the field. He would work his ass off. Like he'd run. He would run. I genuinely, and I tweeted it from the Mecca account, but like he comes on the field and I've watched him, I can't name a single thing that he's good at. Not one. And I don't mean to just bury this guy, but when he comes on, he loses the ball. He's not working hard. He's not dynamic in behind. I don't know what he's good at. Like I genuinely don't know what he's good at. And then every single week, he's one of the first or second attacking subs that comes off the bench to change the game for us. It's like, what the fuck do we expect?
Bro, I totally agree. In that game we were at last Saturday at City Park.
First sub, wasn't he?
Bro, he's the first sub. And I remember this. I don't know how after all those whiskeys, but I remember him coming on, okay? And do you remember, like, on the far side of the field, he got bodied twice. Like, so bad. Like, it was his first time even touching the ball, and he's going for a 50-50, and he got slaughtered by their center back. And I'm like, dude, you got to do something for me, man. You got to give me something.
He's not holding up the ball. Like in this situation, right? We're subbing him into to be defensive. We're not really trying to score here. And Carnell's decision to go to a back five in itself is a whole nother conversation. But like what you have to do as a striker to see a game out is hold the ball. Hold the ball. Play it backwards. Yep. Find an easy pass. Shield it. Just continue with possession. He lost possession, I want to say, every single time he had the ball. Yep. So, like, situationally, let's read the game a little bit. I think there's...
4 on accurate passes. He was
0 for 4. Unreal.
Love it.
We need Seattle to win.
Successful dribbles.
How?
Tactics with dubs.
0 for 3 on ground duels 1.
Unreal. And again, we're close to these cats. I don't want anything to be taken away that I'm sure he's a great guy, but this is a complaining. We might as well be the mecca of complaints because all we really do is bitch at guys. So in this situation, we've had AZ's number all year too. AZ 100% does this job better than what he did.
Yeah,
like he's at least going to press. He's going to get on these guys' ass, and he may even take a solid foul here and there higher up the field. Great. That's what you want. This guy's trying to score a goal. Like, we're like, no, brother. Carnell's already shipped it in. Let's read the game, slow it down, do a job. Just do a job. And he hasn't done one job. It hasn't been come on the field and score a goal when we needed one. It hasn't been come on the field and, slow play down because we're leading. Like, situationally, nothing's happened for him. And beginning of his tenure here and even all the way through last year, you can chalk a lot of this up to minutes and how many minutes he had, and he's not getting a consistent run, and things aren't going to work for you when you're not playing a ton. Get it. He's seen a lot more minutes already this year, and now I'm understanding why, is because there's just not a whole lot of redeeming qualities, like for him not to play not last year very much. Like there's no production.
Yeah.
And Carnell playing him game after game after game, first one off the bench, is going to be scrutinized from here on out.
Well, we have to talk about Carnell because the choice of subs is certainly one thing, but you mentioned it of we went into a back five to see the game out. That is now, I don't know, 6th, 7th, 8th time that we've done that this season to transition to a back five. I don't think it's worked a single time yet. We've conceded multiple times from a back five. We haven't scored from times that we've tried to have like wing backs. Break that down for us. Like, why did the back five fail, and what, like, why was that the wrong choice?
Honestly, in my opinion, my frustration comes with it from, correct me if I'm wrong, the 2 subs that came out were Indy and Lewin, correct?
Uh-huh.
So obviously Indy's position had switched. So he transitioned to a back five with Durkin and kind of Kojima playing in the middle with it was Sam and Thor sort of up top with Totlin on one side and Markanich on the other. But like, not only that, when you sort of drop and you're kind of playing those two midfielders, Durkin's a horse. But Durkin's a horse up until a certain point. Durkin gave everything he had for 83 minutes. And then you sort of switch that formation and say, hey, cover more ground, which is just one aspect of it. So there's going to be openings in the middle. Kojima had done it. But more so what we saw was directly when that goal, I mean, I think it was 3 minutes or 2 minutes after we switched to a back five that they scored. What you saw was that position where that Jordi Alba directly got in behind is typically where one of two center backs will be. And what you saw is directly switching, and whatever it took, whether it's miscommunication or whether it's do you go or do I go, it's a couple guys slid up, Markanich didn't slide up, and Jordi Alba's in behind. Because it's like once he got the ball, two guys were running directly behind. So that gap formed by just lack of somebody being there and lack of communication of who's going to follow. Because even if Jordi Alba's offside, he followed. And you should at least make it rather difficult on him to score. He could take the touchdown and place the ball on the side of the net, and all of a sudden it was, yes, he's onside. But at the same time, on the other side of the field, there's no center backs there to pick him up. And that's sort of one of those, we have Nilsson, Parker, and Hebert, who all rightfully on their own are great defenders. But if you can't communicate in real time against Jordi Alba, against Messi, against Busquets, they're going to pick you apart. Yeah. And not only that, I thought, at least in my opinion, Inter Miami's going to get their chance to score against who they're playing. But we were doing solid. Like, we were doing okay. The goals that they scored, we made them, like, we gave to them. It was a back post foul and then leaving Messi open at the box. Then we hand them a goal where they don't even have to play in behind us, or play through us. They played one ball over the top, boom, 3-3, game's top. Like, just like that.
We were at our best in what we were doing.
100%.
Like, we did not need to, contextually, a lot of times you look at all the great managers, Jose, whoever, Ancelotti, all of them. They can institute a backup defensive plan to see out a match, and it flows and it works. But if what you were doing was the way that you were defending, if attacking was your best offense, like it absolutely was in this game, why would you stray from that? I see it, I get it. There's so many times that I hate it, personally. I hate dropping in and trying to protect the lead. I think it's the worst way to watch football, and what the English call it squeaky bum time, which I think is lame.
You're a big Ange truther.
But, just fucking go for it, mate. Seriously, we had 8 opportunities to score a goal this game. We scored 3, and then let's back off against the best player in the world, maybe the best player of all time, and 3 of his Barcelona buddies. The decision based on the context of the game is mind-boggling. And again, we're talking about Thorson and Hebert. AZ is going to give you more of a press than Thorson. Thorson's not done anything like AZ in this high speed, high press. He tracks guys down. It was mind-boggling, truthfully.
If you're watching on YouTube, I have my screen shared right here. This is what directly leads to the goal. I'm not trying to get too tactical here, but it's very easy to see. Like, this is Gressel here, this is Jordi Alba here, this is Totlin. This is one of our 3 center backs right here.
Yeah, it's bad. That's a bad
so
look.
You see, he doesn't need to be here. This needs to be Durkin, and this guy needs to stay home, especially when you're fucking up 3-2 in the 80, whatever it is, 85th minute. So all it sees, once you see this, it's one ball to Gressel, and this center back's pinched up, and he's in. Like, look at where your center back is. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's why, to me, the back 3, it's just like that confusion can easily happen when you haven't been doing it for 90 minutes. Like, Hebert maybe was yelled at to go step forward, but at the same time, somebody's got to recognize, whether it be Berkey, dude, just stay home and keep everything in front of you.
It genuinely feels like, so like the visual of that was really good. So make sure you're checking out the YouTube on this. But the same exact thing happened against LAFC, where I think it was LAFC. It was at home a couple weeks ago. He transitioned into a back five.
A double. Yeah.
And Hebert again stepped so far inside, and we left our left whoever was up high on the right hand side available. I feel like maybe it was Cincinnati, because Celio had to come back and foul the guy, whatever. I feel like we don't even practice for a back five, because every time we play a back five, that's the kind of tactical breakdown that happens. It's like, it's such clear mistakes in terms of like stepping up and covering. It's just like elementary, you know, like I can't tell you how.
N'Golo Blanc, what's he for?
Yeah.
Like, what is he for? Like, you know what I mean? If you bring Blanc on and we sit in 2 blocks of 4 and clog the middle of the field with maybe like have Kojima play as a 10 or whoever you want to leave there. I can have Big Sam to be up top to be our outlet. Like, we can sit in 2 blocks of 4, play the ball long, and Sam may win 1 out of 3.
That's what I was confused about. Like, is Blanc, is he hurt? Is he out? Like,
and we were watching.
That's what he should be best at, is winning the balls and clogging up the defensive space.
100%.
We're watching Durkin cover the entire field. Like,
I know, legit.
And we're seeing him absolutely fucking gassed in the 86th minute. It was evident. Like, it was obvious that he was. I thought Blom was the rotational piece to come in there. Like, a Blom and AZ sub, and like you said, those 2 banks of 4, like, we're cooking. We're going to continue the game plan. We've got ideas. Where did the long ball game go? We played it for weeks, and then we just absolutely dispose of it in the 82nd minute to decide that we're some solidly defensive, back five system team. Like, a back five is a back five, except you're expecting 2 of your wide wingers to be a step up to be able to pinch it off a little bit. Like, those guys have gotten balls over the top every time. It's not a back five, it's a back 3, but you're not operating a back 3 very well. Like, there's no rhyme or reason.
Hebert and Totlin on this clip are parallel. Like, they're even on the right side of the field together. Like, that space is just sitting there.
That's a bad look.
Yeah.
Now, potentially some positive news. 2 things. We did score 3 against Miami. Now, we know that Miami's defense is not the best. Jobs was saying before the game that, there are goals out there for us. They're vulnerable. But we haven't put the ball in the net 3 times, maybe all season, but certainly not for a long time. This could potentially be a positive, stroke of games for us, turning around the momentum, and hopefully we stick with that same 11, barring Alm for Kojima, or Kojima for Alm rather. But then we also, like, hot off the press an hour ago, signed Jake Girdwood Reich, 20-year-old Aussie who plays center back, center defensive midfield from the Aussie A League. Just like Cedric, he's not going to be available until July 18th, but that adds another layer to the puzzle. Butchie, you said that, a center back, center defensive midfield is probably not what we need. Do you see this as like one for the future, someone that's going to come into the 11 right away? Like, I know that you probably haven't been like scouting on Transfer Market the Aussie A League, so we'll give you a pass there. But what do you think? Like, coming into the 11, the 18, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I obviously haven't seen the kid play, but my thought would be, with him being 20 years old, I think it's a future signing. I don't think he's going to come in and play much. I mean, I just don't see why, or who is he going to replace to be able to play consistent minutes. I just don't see him replacing Nielsen or Parker, nor Durkin, Leuven, or Blom. I just don't see anything there. So this has got to be one for the future, and we'll kind of see what Carnell's plan and Lutz's plan with this kid is. But
it's a very interesting signing in the sense that I'm just pulling up names so I don't get them wrong. What do you say?
Do we know the fee?
I have no idea.
What I saw on Twitter from an Australian outlet, we're in the depths over here on Twitter, lads. If you're not following us,
we're showing it.
You need to tap in. But
right now,
we're hearing that the outgoing transfer fee will be a record for Sydney FC, or I think that's where he's playing, which puts it in the region of 1.5 million. So that's no small signing for us.
Something that's interesting. He's 20. We also have 2 center backs on the City 2 team, Michael Wenzel, and then I think Oscar is his first name, but Benitez, who's also like 21. And someone on Twitter was also talking about how we moved for Benitez earlier this season as well. And so it looks like we have this like young crop of center backs in like the 20 to 22 age range. A reminder again, Parker's contract is up at the end of the season. I don't know how long Nelson's is still around for. So it could be a little bit of future planning for next season, but we need someone for this season. I know that Cedric's going to come in, but that's not going to be enough to like get this team excited and get this fan base excited.
I'm looking right now, and did you say a fee? Sorry, I was Googling.
We're in record for Sydney.
Because like the transfer market has its value as of May 28th, it's $600K.
We're close to double that, I think, on a transfer fee. Now, a little background too, though. He 20 years old, and he made the A-League team of the season as a center back. So I don't want to directly compare the leagues because I don't think, Sydney and the A-League are as strong as the MLS, which is, maybe they are. I don't really know, frankly. So, like, maybe are comparable. So, regardless, for that crop of player to be 20 years old, I think there's a world where you can be excited about it. It's not going to help us score goals. Tim Parker's out of contract. We've got aging center backs. So, I think it is ideally along, a future move, something that we could see in, be a huge, huge perk down the road. It's not helping us score goals right now. So
I watched the 9-minute comp that I found was posted a month ago, and yes, you can only take so much from comps. But I will say he reminds me a lot of like a little bit more skilled Tim Parker. Like truthfully, like everything they showed was tackles, like header, like
he's
header.
A fucking tank.
Yeah,
my man is a physical unit.
The one thing, and I have a different personal preference on just the style of footy I like to watch and play and whatever. But like when I watch a center back comp and I don't see a single pass over like 7 yards, I'm kind of like, all right, dude, on to the next. But that's just me. So I think that may be one thing to watch, is at least what I've seen. Like, doesn't do a ton of playing out of the back, but if you play CDM/center back, you have to have some ability to do that. I think you guys are right. I think it's more the frustration that, like you're saying, Hoof, we want a now. I think we all see that there is some potential for this team to potentially start clicking and get things going. But I think we need a few pieces. That's why when we see these like signing for the future, it's like, yes, we've said it, we'll continue to say it, in Lutz we trust. But at the same time, it's like, I think we all just see that there might still be something there that we're not exactly addressing yet.
Yeah. We posted on our Twitter account, we posted that 9-minute comp, and the Aziel Jackson fan club at Santa Claus with a bunch of S's says, we asked the question of what are your thoughts on the signing? His response was, meh. I'm sure he's a great guy, but it's just not that exciting of a signing yet. I hope he proves me wrong, but I've had enough of building a squad with twigs while the rest of the league is signing players that can make an impact now rather than 2 years from now.
My thoughts exactly. It's my thoughts
exactly the point.
Yeah.
So we go again this weekend. I'm hoping that this signing is not the only signing that we'll see over the next month or so. Would be sick that July 18th, first day of the transfer window, we have 3 to 4 new signings in. That'd be great. That we're already getting our business done before the window.
Any predicted 11s for the weekend?
I think it's going to be the same exact 11 with
should be.
Yeah, has to be.
You think he keeps Markanich?
Yeah, I do.
There's been nothing to tell us that it's going to be Dur.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Big game last week, fellas. The Champions League final. Fun fact, if you didn't know, I didn't know till this morning, but did you all know that the Champions League theme song is sung in like 4 different languages, all talking about the champions? Did you know that?
Sure. Do now.
Nope. Someone
did a line-by-line breakdown where it's like German and then French and then Spanish and then English over and over. It's kind of cool. But Real Madrid are just the best team in the world. We've known this forever. 2-0 win over Borussia Dortmund. And I think Real Madrid deserved to win that game. But you just thought it was going to be Dortmund in the first half, didn't you? You just thought that they were going to capitalize on 1 to 2 defensive lapses from Madrid. But at the end of the day, Madrid does what they've done 14 other times in the last 50 years. How's the game for you all?
Honestly, the first half, there was a world where we're sitting here talking about Marco Reus lifting the Champions League trophy, because in the first half, Dortmund had 2 or 3 chances to put that game away. to put that game away. And then truthfully, I think it's kind of one of those is once you see that they don't capitalize, we all expected Madrid to score. Like even if you wanted Dortmund to win, I sat there at the table with the guys I was with. I was like, if Madrid go down 2-0, I'm still thinking Madrid is going to come back and win that game because they do. We've said it a bunch of times. They just have that aura. They have the players in those games to get the job done. When you could sub off Toni Kroos and you bring on a Luka Modric, and it's just the quality they have. Is they're the best club run in the world. They have been for how long now? To where it's just, and what's crazy, it's hard not to see them winning next year. I was disappointed in the result, but at the same time, happy for guys like Jude to see him win.
The thing that has continued to impress me with Real Madrid this season.
Bless you.
Sorry, fellas. A little sneeze there. A little live sneeze for the listeners. What's
no edits out here.
No edits. No. What's continued to impress me about Dortmund this season about Real Madrid is you have to remember at the beginning of the season, Courtois went down with an ACL injury.
Oh,
David Alaba.
And forgot about poor Lunin.
Yeah, poor Lunin. David Alaba went down with an ACL injury. Eder Militao went down with an ACL injury. They've had to change their lineups. Remember, their big summer striker signing was Hoselu.
Don't sleep on big Hosey though, bro.
I get it, but
don't sleep on the big man.
But I don't know if you remember, but when Benzema left over the summer, the question was where are the goals going to come from? How are they going to do it? And all 18 of those guys that play are just so committed to winning that they all will play wherever they get asked to play. Tchouaméni spent half the season playing center back. Camavinga plays 75% of his minutes at left back. Jude will play an 8, a 10, a 9, whatever. So I think, when you watch them play, they're so agile in how they play. I remember after the Man City game, Rodri was talking about how there's only one team that played football today, but it's Madrid just knows how to win. And if anyone needs a masterclass on how to win, you just got to watch that team play. They've also just changed up transfer strategy so much. Do you remember back in the day, it was Galacticos. They were going for Galacticos signings all the time. And not that they don't anymore. They still get the biggest names in football. But how they've recruited over the last 5 years, Dobes, you shared the statistic today of the ages of those
insane
of their guys. There it is. So new signings for this summer. Obviously we have Endrick and Kylian Mbappe officially signs today. Joining a Champions League winning team, Kylian Mbappe, aka Kevin Durant. So we have Endrick 17, Arda Güler 19, Bellingham 20, Camavinga 21, Vinicius 23, Rodrigo 23, Tchouaméni 24, Brahim Diaz 24, Mbappe 25, Valverde 25, Lunin 25, Militao 26. That, my friends, is football at its age.
I think when you look at Madrid, and if you guys listened to, by the way, Jose Mourinho, in my opinion, was the best part of the Champions League, as always. Just the one-liners, just him being him. But what he talked about was just the fact that Madrid has been one of those clubs that they have Ancelotti. Then above him, I can't think of the guy's last name. It's Jose whatever. That's their CEO. And then above them is Perez. And that's what they have. That's how they operate. And that's how that's their transfer strategy. Those three players operate together and work together. And that's it. And that's exactly why Jose said they're successful, because you don't have a sporting director and then all these too many different hands in the pot. And that's why you said they're so successful. And that's why you see them consistently just, we want Mbappe, we're going to go get him. Not only that, you have to have the money.
Right.
At the same time, that's just the way they operate. And not only that, I don't think there's a player in the world that if Real Madrid comes knocking is going to say no. And there's not another team in the world that could say that.
Right. Yeah, they're fantastic. And Mbappe goes there today. We've known it for 2 years now that that's what's going to happen. But I mean, if you're PSG, how much do you feel like your pants are pulled down right now? He leaves for free. PSG gets $0 for that transfer. And then they also, last year, 2 years ago, threw the absolute world at him. And then there was the whole saga last summer of like, we'll sell you to the Saudi league or whatever. Like, PSG has to just feel like pieces of shit.
Well, they should, frankly, because
bag fumble of all time.
stupid club, stupid club culture, stupid city. Never been to Paris. Probably not having to go, frankly. But they should feel bad. I mean, to a certain degree, all they have to do to get him to stay is to buy better players and have a better, more consistent, manager who's ready to stick with them and go and try and get these Champions Leagues. Because that was it. They needed one Champions League, and I feel like he might have stayed. But they never really came that close. So they have no one to blame but themselves. You either take an offer of 120 million last year, or accept that this was what was going to happen. That's how football works. Like, if you don't cash in, you let guys walk. So they absolutely shot themselves in the foot. I'm excited to not really see them in European football going forward, and or have a care in them because he's not with them. Like, they don't excite me anymore.
I actually think that they're going to be better without him. Luis Enrique was cooking, with this young crop of players. Like, over the last couple of years, it's always been like Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, even for 2 seasons, and then everyone else. But this year, their midfield was great. Their defensive line was great. Like, I think that they'll probably go and sign a big name to replace them. It could be anyone, but I think it's going to feel a little bit more like a team than PSG really ever did. The closest they ever got was they lost to Munich in the finals during COVID or whatever. I think it was 2020. They lost in the finals, and Neymar carried them to the finals. It wasn't even Mbappe. So I think, and maybe this is just an agenda that I have against Mbappe. And I mean, you all know how much I really dislike him as a player, but like, I feel like he's walking away from PSG like he's the king of PSG, and he didn't do shit there. Like, he won the league, whatever, like, that's fine, but yeah, the finals appearance that they got in the Champions League was because of Neymar. He literally single-handedly got them to the final. I mean, he even played incredibly in the final. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that it's a weird thing, but hey, Madrid.
Did you guys hear? Did you hear what Henry said about it when they were talking about it post game?
Saying what?
It was great because they were talking about. Kate was just asking the group about like how Madrid is going to be impacted by signing the quote unquote biggest star, best player in the world, and like, is it going to have an impact? Like, are they going to like not? I'm paraphrasing, but she didn't use like bow down. Like, how is the locker room switch up? And Henry's response was like spot on. He's like, what you've done anywhere else doesn't matter at Real Madrid. He's like, you come into Real Madrid with 0 Champions Leagues. You come into Real Madrid with 0 titles. You come into Real Madrid with nothing. He's proved nothing at Real Madrid. He's walking into a locker room where you have guys who've won 5, 6 Champions Leagues, who've won title after title after title. Yes, Mbappe has a World Cup. Everybody knows his quality. But also, like, at Madrid, that doesn't matter who you are. And it seems to never have. So I'd be curious, just with the antics we've seen with him at PSG, how that plays out at Madrid.
We'll see. We'll see what the mentality really is that he has.
Yeah, 100%.
This isn't new from Real Madrid though. Like, brother, the Galacticos era, every single one of those guys thought they were the best player in the world.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it worked, and it was just fine. Florentino Perez finds a way to make every single guy feel like the best player in the world, and you get the right guy at the helm. Which, if they move on from Ancelotti, I think there's a lot of unknowns with Madrid, and depending, it would be Zidane or Xabi, but he's also the guy to make this all happen. He's the guy. There's no BS played in that locker room, I'd imagine, and there are no favorites and there are no egos. You play for the football team, and you play together, and it's evident. They went out and did it on Saturday, and 18 of those guys would die on the field for their brothers. And like, that's all you can ever really ask of as a manager. And that doesn't happen everywhere. It's just, they don't have that passion. They don't have that drive, and it comes top down.
Yep.
Where do you guys rank Trillati in terms of best managers of all time?
Top 3.
He's got the most
Top 5 at
champions.
least. Yeah.
Top 3.
Doesn't he have? He's like the only coach to have like a league title in 4 of 5 leagues, all 5 leagues or something.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be him, Pep, and Sir Alex.
No clap for you. Did we forget about Arnie Slot or what?
Give Arnie a decade.
Is Arnie getting top 5 here?
No, I think Ancelotti's he's got to be in there, man.
Dude, he's coached Italy, Parma, Juve, AC Milan, Chelsea, PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Napoli. Quick little top in for Everton.
Everton.
And then back to Madrid.
I'm pretty sure he won a Prem at Chelsea. Did he not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's done it all, man.
No. He's won the most Champions League ever.
By a lot. Yeah, by a lot.
In what year was this? It says in his first ever season in England, Ancelotti became the first Italian manager to win the Premier League.
Sure. Good for him.
Just ridiculous.
Just raise the eyebrow, man. Goals come.
I would love to see what his man management is like behind the scenes, because you know that all those guys would die for him. That has to come from like the everyday building of relationships. I would just love to see.
He seems like a father that knows footy, and at least from the outside looking in.
That one comment that Jude had, he said he saw the coach right before the game. He's like, "Gaffer, why are you yawning?"
Oh yeah.
And he said, he's like, what did he say? He's like, "I'm bored. Go entertain me. Score some goals." like he just is he's just a freaking winner, bro. He's the Don.
Fellas, I'm gonna end tonight's episode with a little either or for you. Madrid wins the Champions League, which leaves the Ballon d'Or really down to 2 people. It is Vinicius Jr. or Jude Bellingham. 3. What's your 3rd? Harold? Who?
Mark my words, it's going to be a 3-man Real Madrid podium. Toni Kroos.
No.
You think so?
I bet you money, Dopes. I bet you next round of golf you're buying.
Then what? Toni Kroos has to finish in the top 3.
Yes.
Above Erling Haaland. Above Harry Kane. Above Harry Kane.
Yes.
Okay.
What? Harry didn't win anything.
Okay, so
Harry was 3 goals off of a German record in his first league.
First campaign. Be Tony, dude. Tony's going to be.
We're shaking on this. We're playing at Peevely too.
Oh, you dick.
We're going to Augusta National. Okay, so I guess for the sake of the conversation, who's winning the Ballon d'Or? Is it Vinicius? Is it Jude Bellingham or Toni Kroos?
Jude.
I mean, it's Vinny.
I think this is why it's spicy, because I could see.
I'm going to give my takes.
By all means.
Because I would like to see Jude win. I think that'd be awesome. I love Jude, but I told Dobes this in the car. Jude had an awesome year, and then from like the round of 16 on in the Champions League, he played well. He didn't produce like goals or assists. Vinny just balled. I mean, Vinny scored in every single game to get them there.
Yeah.
Every quarterfinal, every semifinal, Vinny showed up, and then the minute they got to the final, he did it again and scored the clinching one to go up 2.
Yeah.
So, like, Vinny was just that big player. 25 goals. We looked it up yesterday. 25 goals in 39 appearances, and he won the double.
Jude's got
big
more
goals.
Matches played, season perform. I don't know, dude.
So, Vinny's. I don't know.
The thing is, I could definitely see it going to Vinny. Jude's going to be a popular vote, though. Jude will be the popular vote. I think Vinny really did himself a lot of justice the last couple months of the season. Whereas, at Christmas, no one was debating Jude Bellingham on the Ballon d'Or train. I mean, he was incredible. He gets injured. He has a little bit of an ankle injury, shoulder injury. I personally, just like you said, Butch, like after the round of 16, he stopped kind of producing. He just looked tired at the end of the season. Like he really looked tired. And I think that's a little bit of a testimony of this being his first season at that level, like where you still see Vinicius or even like Toni Kroos, like still putting in 90 minutes, at the very last games of the season. Like, I think that he will continue to get better, and I could see it going either way. But Vinicius, I think, was a little bit more clinical at the end of the season. Jude was.
I think it's got to be Jude. I'm just looking here at this. I think it's got to be Jude.
And another thought. This is maybe bias, I guess, but like a winger and a striker and an attacking player's job is to score goals, create chances, set up assists.
Totally.
And that's that's the job of midfield players too, but not at the clip that Jude was pulling them off. Like he added
20 years old.
Yeah, he added so much to the value of their midfield, and he doesn't always have to be the guy that scored the goals. But there was a a good 6-month run where he just was.
Where he was, yeah.
That was just it. So I think it's a more impressive season in the entire body of work for me to say that Jude wins it, just because that's not the expected outcome of a midfielder. And a guy that we didn't even really know played in like a 10 type role when he got to Madrid. We thought we saw him as an out and out 8, strong center midfield, both sides of the ball, and this man just had figured out how to become a Galactico at Madrid and balled. So I think if we see Vinny with, he did obviously have some unbelievably important parts of the season, especially in their Champions League run. He's so dangerous, but a little more production on his end of things. I think there's a really good shout for him to be that guy. But Jude did it. Jude had just as much production, and it may not have been in all of the big games that Vinny did, but he was a center midfielder. So
via Sky Bet right now, Vinny's the favorite at 2-5, Jude 7-2. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I don't know if you guys saw the video of Rio watching, and then when Jude missed his chance during the game, Rio was sitting there going, Jude, that's the Ballon d'Or right there. Like if you score in the Champions League final, he goes, oh, that's the Ballon.
That was such a lucky block that guy got.
I know.
Well, you don't even need to ask who I think will get it. It's Jude Bellingham. It's my guy. I'm hopeful. But fellas, that concludes this week's episode of the Mecca Banter Podcast.
Final piece on this one is that we do love both of those guys are great guys. We've got no off-field issues with my Ballon d'Or candidates this year. Vinny, love him. Vinny dance, and then Jude, just a class act from Birmingham. So nice to have that up there. And they're both so 100%. Young. It's cool.
Yeah, and then I guess when Toni Kroos is up on the stage with them, it's just gonna cap it off, I guess.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro, he's gonna make the final 3.
That would be asinine.
That'd be the wildest call out ever, and I would let you know that you have ball knowledge. But
dude, listen, if he makes it, you better kiss my feet, Dopes. I'm not gonna cut my toenails for a month, bro.
But I kiss your feet.
Kiss my toes.
Madrid's best players may make the final 3. hey, Erling Haaland may be in the final 3. He may or may not.
Yeah, but hold on. We're talking about a guy that doesn't produce goals. Like, he gets you a few goals every once in a while. He gets a decent amount of assists, but we're talking about a guy that runs the game. He runs the entire game.
I agree with you 100%. If they won a treble this year, didn't they? I think they won 3.
No, they won the double.
No, 2.
They only
missed the Copa del Rey.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't in Barca. It was
I don't know.
One of the other 18 teams in that league.
I see a world. I do see a world where he's in the conversation. I just don't see a world where it's 3 Real Madrid players, truthfully.
Yeah.
Who's your pick for the third? Before we end, who's everybody's third podium finalist?
I think Harry Kane.
Are the Euros included in this?
I don't think they are, actually.
It's season, right? Like the
we
had to include. Yeah,
I couldn't find it.
Phil Foden.
We were talking about that yesterday, but like
Phil Foden's going to be my third.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a world.
I don't know how Haaland could be the third and Foden isn't.
I agree.
No, Haaland will not be the third this year. No way.
Yeah, Foden's my vote for the third. Lionel Messi, Inter Miami.
Hey.
I heard that Ronaldo guy scored a couple goals this season.
Yeah, I also heard he finished with 0 trophies.
So did Harry Kane, though.
Good point.
Yep.
Good point.
It just says when the ceremony is. It doesn't say when it goes. Like
the
when
way that they probably do it, L'Equip, they just decide when they want it to end. Probably don't tell
It's
anybody.
like whatever.
Here's my only thing on Kane, because like I'm thinking about it, like I may just need to go back and look at it. But when was the last time you saw somebody make the final podium 3 that didn't win a trophy? I don't think it's happened in a very long time. Like, I legitimately think you have to win some sort of trophy to even get in that top 3.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, like, I think they look at that, and I just don't see him even though he scored a bunch of goals, I think the success factor is going to keep him out of that top 3.
Let's give it to Modric then. Put Modric in the 3. Put Camavinga, you know?
Yeah.
Well, Toni Kroos had a much better year than Madrid. Toni Kroos played every minute.
I know. What's crazy is that he's just retiring and Modric is staying. So
yeah, it's insane. Fellas, until next week, we'll be back with another episode of the Mecca Banter podcast. Want to say thank you for listening as always. Check us out on the social media. We have a very, very special guest next week. And go to Mecca or manscaped.com and use promo code Mecca20.
Get stuff for your dads.
Get
Don't
stuff for
forget
your
'em.
dads. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.